partnership. We also have us MSNBC contributor Victoria DeFrancesco, professor at the LBJ School of Public Affairs at the University of Texas. Go Longhorns. All right, let's start with this. When we look at that reporting coming out of Steve Kornacki, Rachel, is that right in Canada? You think a potential? Do you think folks will be doing that in protest?
Well, I think it remains to be seen. Ultimately, this is going to be a case for the Alabama voters to litigate. I think that there is going to be, definitely some discussion of how to handle this. However, I do think Alabama is a red state, and I think you'll see that in the end. I do think a Republican will prevail. A
Republican will prevail. It's getting close, though, and I just want to pull up the latest poll that came out in the last 24 hours, basically tied. It looks like the margin of error, though, is plus or minus 4.3, but this coming from Decision Desk HQ. Roy Moore, 46. Doug Jones, 46%. Victoria, it's now trending, at least in the last 24 hours, against Roy Moore.
A week ago, this would have been unthinkable. It would have been like a unicorn to think that the Democrat and the Republican in Alabama would be tied. But so I think that a lot of this is going to come down to turnout. So how strongly do people feel in Alabama, say you're a Republican, that you want a sensible, a moderate Republican, and you don't want the Democrat? What is that going to look like? So, or maybe people are disgusted and they stay home. So it's going to be about turnout. And the other wrinkle to that is women. Women historically turn out at higher numbers than men. So are women in Alabama going to get really ticked off and they're going to say, I'm not just going to vote against Moore, I'm going to vote against the Republican Party and give Doug Jones that win? So I think those are the two questions that I have in mind in the coming weeks in the polling is, first, turnout, and second, how are the women going to cast their ballot, especially those Republican women?
As you look at turnout, one of the indicators might be endorsements, and at least when you look at the Senate at the moment, Rachel, there's been a score of senators calling for Moore to withdraw, as you know, if the allegations are true. And of course, that is the if. But the line starts with Senator Mitch McConnell, and then it makes it all the way down to Senator Lindsey Graham. But this is not Alabama. And in Alabama, if you talk to those who know Alabama and our contributors who do talk to the political, if you will, connected in the state, are saying they're going to stick with Moore.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, look, regardless of what the rest of us think, this is a decision for Alabama voters to make. And, we can say all we want from Washington, but it's Alabama voters are going to have to go and decide who they want to represent them in the Senate. And to be honest, Mitch McConnell didn't help this situation in the first place, right? There was a bloody internecine battle in Republican politics in Alabama over whether it was going to be McConnell's guy or it was going to be the will of the Alabama voters. And so, I think Alabamans feel sort of fed up with the, Washington's finger wagging at them and saying,
right,
this is who you have to pick
or not. It's Bannon's argument. Yeah, it's Bannon's argument.
Right, and I think you're going to see that play out at the polls.
Victoria, the winning coalition that Peggy Noonan was writing about in the Wall Street Journal, this might be a question for the Democrat as he is looking at what might be the outcome in Alabama. That coalition, as you were alluding to earlier, is going to be single women, suburban women, minorities, and as well millennials. Is that going to translate to Alabama?
Again, I keep coming back to the turnout issue. So obviously in Alabama, it's mainly a white and black population. You don't have a very large Latino or multi-ethnic population like you do in other states. But at the same time, it's about energizing that African-American base who have historically had strong voter turnout. This is a special election, and we know that minorities and lower SES folks, according to political science studies that go back eons, don't tend to turn out as much in midterm elections and in special elections. So again, it's mobilizing those people that are the least likely to vote, but who lean D or at least would be open to voting for Doug Jones. So he has to look through the voter polls and pull out those people who maybe haven't voted in the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elections and get them energized and out to the polls.
Well, we've got a month to go. It's a long time in political watches, at least. So Victoria DeFrancesco, Rachel Bovard, thank you both.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Richard.
North Korea slams President Trump as he continues his historic tour across Asia. The latest rhetoric as world leaders work to find a solution to the escalating nuclear tensions on the peninsula.
major breach is a major win for identity thieves. They're working overtime, scouring the dark web, accessing your personal information, and trying to steal your identity. Fight back.